The girl had never received professional training, yet she could whip up incredible Asian stir-fried noodles that were out of this world. Anyone who tasted her cooking couldn't stop raving about it. That day, a mysterious man showed up at her food truck. He took just one bite of her noodles and was completely blown away by the amazing flavors. He slowly walked up to Emma, telling her she was wasting her talent here, and handed her a black business card. Emma was too busy working to pay him any attention, but out of politeness, she stuffed the card into her pocket. Later that night, as Emma was getting ready to call it a day, she felt the business card in her pocket. Curious, she looked up the restaurant online and was shocked to discover that this 5-star establishment was run by none other than the legendary Chef Gordon. Elite figures from all walks of life considered it an honor to take photos with him, and regular folks had to make reservations 2.5 years in advance just to taste his food. She couldn't pass up such a rare opportunity, so the next day she headed to the restaurant using the address on the card. Seeing such luxurious decor for the first time, Emma was like a small-town girl visiting the big city for the first time. Everything fascinated her. An assistant led her into the restaurant's kitchen, where not only were the stoves powered by hydrogen fuel, but even the knives were custom-made by top craftsmen, their blades so smooth and polished they could serve as mirrors. Just as she was marveling at all this, she heard that working here required passing a test. Emma, who had no formal training, immediately felt intimidated and was about to leave. But just as she picked up her backpack, she ran straight into Chef Gordon himself. Seeing her idol right in front of her, Emma decided to take the plunge. To her surprise, the test was incredibly simple.
ข้าวผัด
Just making a basic fried rice dish. Kevin, who was competing against Emma, immediately lit up with joy because this kind of easy test was a piece of cake for a high-end chef who had returned from France. Confidently, he walked to the refrigerator, grabbed various premium ingredients, and served up a plate of steaming hot rice. Meanwhile, Emma took out some leftover rice and 2 eggs from the fridge. After heating butter until it was slightly smoking, she skillfully cracked the eggs into the pan and quickly stir-fried them. When the eggs were lightly colored, she quickly added the rice and stir-fried everything together over high heat. Kevin's approach looked much more sophisticated as he methodically stir-fried various ingredients over low heat in perfect order. Soon, 2 completely different fried rice dishes were placed in front of Gordon. But Gordon barely glanced at Kevin's elegant fried rice before reaching his spoon toward Emma's plate and taking a bite. The eliminated Kevin immediately protested, wanting to argue with Gordon, not realizing he had already lost from the very first step. Gordon didn't bother wasting words on him.
เรื่องของแม่มึงบอกแล้วใช่ไหมพวกเด็กที่จบสถาบันไม่ค่อยมีจินตนาการไม่ค่อยมีเซนส์การใช้ไฟแบบเด็กหน้าเตาครับเชฟ
Although Emma won the test, the smell of stir-fried noodles on her clothes seemed so out of place here.
ล้างเนื้อล้างตัวแล้วเปลี่ยนชุดซะ
After getting cleaned up, Emma looked at herself in the mirror, already envisioning her future success and fame. But the demanding Gordon quickly showed her the price of reaching the top. Gordon then announced their next assignment. Tomorrow they would be cooking a series of dishes for military officials, with the theme being blood and meat. He brought out a piece of prime-grade Wagyu beef and with a gentle swipe cut off a slice so thin it was almost transparent, then had the inexperienced Emma try her hand at it. But Emma, handling high-end ingredients for the first time, was clearly at a loss and hadn't even started cutting when Gordon stopped her.
อย่าเลื่อยกูบอกว่าอย่าเลื่อยกูบอกว่าอย่าเลื่อย
Facing the temperamental Chef Gordon, Emma took a deep breath, not knowing where to begin with the knife in her hand.
มึงยังเลื่อยอยู่อะ
To avoid wasting the Wagyu that was worth more than gold, Gordon had someone else cut the meat first and then handed it to Emma to cook. But Emma's cooking style, which she had always been proud of, seemed completely worthless in Gordon's eyes.
สุกเกินไปเอาใหม่สุกไปแล้วถ้ากลัวไฟแค่นี้ก็กลับบ้านไป
The wok that she usually handled with ease now felt unfamiliar, and as Emma failed repeatedly, she became increasingly nervous. This time, the meat actually stuck to the pan. Gordon lost his patience and flew into a rage.
กูจ้างมึงมาเพื่อมาผัดสิ่งนี้ถ้าทำไม่ได้ก็ไม่ควรอยู่ตรงนี้กูบอกมึงชัดเจนแล้วนะว่าเนื้อที่กูต้องการมันจะต้องออกมาเป็นแบบไหนทำไปจนกว่าจะได้หรือถ้ากูกลับมาแล้วไม่เห็นมึงก็แสดงว่าที่ของมึงคงเป็นได้แค่ที่ร้านราดหน้า
telling Emma to pack up and get out. Such harsh teaching was hard for Emma to accept. Feeling wronged, she just wanted to return to her comfort zone. But thinking about her modest food truck and the mundane life she could foresee, Emma ultimately decided against going back. After calming herself down, she was determined to make Gordon see her in a new light. If she couldn't succeed once, she'd try twice. If not twice, then 3 times. She believed that as long as she had a dream, she would eventually succeed. Even after all her colleagues had left for the day, Emma stayed alone in the kitchen practicing. Even when all the outside lights went out, the stove flames continued burning bright, illuminating her hard-working figure, a testament to her dedication to her dreams and her refusal to give up on life, shining with the light of determination in the darkness. When the chefs arrived for work the next day, they discovered that Emma had been practicing all night. When Gordon came into the kitchen, Emma immediately stood up and looked at him with determined eyes. They stared at each other without saying a word. Emma heated oil in the wok, placed a piece of wagyu in the pan, skillfully tossed the wok a couple of times, and finished cooking. She pushed the cooked wagyu toward Gordon, who picked it up, took a look, tore off a small piece, and tasted it, but gave no comment. His silence clearly meant approval. Looking at her arms covered with burns, Emma finally showed the joy of success. At the general's banquet, Gordon presented a piece of top-grade wagyu and then let Emma take over the cooking. Although it was her first time working under so many watchful eyes, the girl was inevitably nervous, but she quickly calmed down and regained her composure. Her skilled movements flowed like water, immediately earning enthusiastic applause from the guests. Everyone then got busy working with practiced efficiency and perfect coordination. Gordon personally cut the beef rolls into pieces, and when all the plates were neatly arranged, a spoonful of beef blood paired with a small piece of beef became the high-end dinner for these political and business elites. Large plates, small portions of food, with a sprig of garnish in the middle, these seemingly simple ingredients became high-end gourmet food thanks to Gordon's reputation. The rich people swallowed the beef in one bite, immediately exposing the facade of upper-class refinement, as their primal appetites made them lose all control, not even sparing the sauce on the plates. Gordon looked at these wealthy people as if they were animals. Just as the banquet was about to end, a man who called himself a food critic handed Emma an elegant business card.
ถ้ามีอะไรให้ช่วยติดต่อผมได้ทุกเมื่อนะครับ
After this banquet, Emma was knocked back down to reality because Gordon assigned different tasks based on different menus, and when there were no assignments, Emma's job was washing dishes and mopping floors. Unable to tolerate this, Emma finally exploded, and seeing her defiant attitude, Gordon assigned her to chop vegetables.
เร็วขึ้นอีก 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 เร็วอีก อีก นอกจากผัด เธอยังทำอะไรไม่เป็นเลยสักอย่าง แล้วทำไมถึงคิดว่าต้องได้บัตรทองตลอดเวลา
After being thoroughly schooled, Emma also realized her own shortcomings. The reason wealthy people were willing to pay astronomical prices to have Gordon cook for them wasn't because his food was so delicious, but because it was a symbol of status and power. No one cared about the other team members unless they could create their own signature dishes. One day, a family that had spent a fortune and waited 2.5 years finally secured Gordon's team for an in-home service. But when Gordon was checking the dishes, he just smelled something and immediately sensed trouble. He quickly took a small sip with a spoon, then without hesitation dumped the entire pot of soup, filled it with tap water from the faucet, then quickly took out several packets of instant noodles, dumped the seasoning packets into the pot, and just like that, a delicious soup was ready. Because of Gordon's reputation, the family didn't suspect anything and eagerly slurped up this hard-won delicacy. Afterward, Gordon was absolutely furious. It turned out that before they went, Gordon had learned that the girl was allergic to shellfish. Even a small amount could have killed her, but his assistant carelessly added shrimp to the soup. The enraged Gordon physically attacked his assistant, not allowing anyone to damage his reputation. The thoroughly humiliated assistant, fortunately, help arrived in time, and Gordon barely escaped with his life. But having walked on the edge of death, Gordon still hadn't learned to control his temper. When a nurse kindly brought him a nutritious meal, he called it pig food and knocked it over. When Emma heard about his condition, she specially brought him some Asian stir-fried noodles, telling Gordon that this was food made with special techniques, a skill passed down in her family. But Gordon only took a small taste before accurately identifying every seasoning in it. He then told Emma that there was no such thing as emotional cooking, that was just an excuse poor people use to escape reality. Poor people eat to survive, while rich people live to enjoy food. This profound concept made Emma question her ideals for the first time. But when she walked home in confusion, she learned that her father had collapsed from overwork, and the expensive medical bills had drained the family's savings. Just then, the TV broadcast a news story about a little girl with a terminal illness whose family couldn't afford medical treatment, so her parents took out high-interest loans to pay for the fancy dinner their daughter had always dreamed of, and then the family of 3 committed suicide. Emma stared wide-eyed at the screen because this family of 3 was the very family they had served yesterday. These successive blows made her realize just how terrifying the wealth gap in this world really was. Before long, the recovered Gordon became even more extreme. To restore the wealthy people's primal desires, he actually started using illegal game meat for cooking. Emma found this unacceptable and immediately objected to Gordon, telling him she just wanted to become a renowned chef, not a criminal. But in Gordon's eyes, food was just food.
ถ้าเราใช้แค่หมูแค่ไก่มันก็ไม่เกิดสิ่งใหม่ไง
Unable to accept Gordon's philosophy, Emma quit on the spot. Gordon seemed to be used to this and didn't try to stop her from leaving. After returning home, Emma pondered for a long time, thinking about her father's enormous medical bills, and felt completely powerless. Then she remembered the food critic who had given her his business card, so the next day she arranged to meet with him.
ตั้งแต่ตอนนั้นผมรู้เลยว่าฝีมืออย่างคุณไม่ควรจะได้อยู่แค่หลังเชฟพอ
มันไม่เร็วไปใช่ไหมคะคุณทศ
คุณออยรุ่นอย่างคุณมันต้องลุยเลยคุณยังเด็กหน้าตาคุณดีฝีมือการทำอาหารคุณโดดเด่นผมทำให้คุณเป็นเชฟสาวสวยที่เก่งที่สุดของโลกได้นะ
His persuasive words struck right at Emma's inner desires, and soon they built a high-end pop-up restaurant called Flame around Emma. As the restaurant's head chef, Emma personally designed many high-end dishes that looked, smelled, and tasted amazing, but the food critic wasn't satisfied after tasting them because every dish still carried Gordon's influence. The food critic told Emma that to be truly unique, she needed to have her own distinctive style. Emma had a sudden realization and picked up her wok again. This time, she would use her specialty, Asian-style stir-frying, to create a menu that was truly her own. Sure enough, when the new dishes debuted, they received countless rave reviews. With the food critic's generous promotional efforts, Emma instantly became the local hot female chef everyone was talking about. To seize the opportunity to break into high society, the food critic secured Emma a spot at a wealthy socialite's dinner party. This woman was not only incredibly wealthy but also the beloved daughter of a senator, and the party guests were all people with money and power. But what Emma didn't expect was that the socialite had invited not just her, but also her mentor Gordon. The socialite wasn't familiar with the newcomer Emma, but she was full of respect and admiration for Gordon. Clearly, tonight's dinner wasn't just about cooking, it was a bloody battle for their futures. Emma then used her innovative new menu to create numerous stunning dishes.
ชัยชนะของคลื่นลูกใหม่
But just as everyone was enjoying the food, the venue's lights suddenly dimmed, and half a Wagyu carcass slowly descended from the ceiling. Gordon walked forward with a cleaver in hand, using his masterful knife skills to hack away at the beef, then evenly spread his secret sauce and generously sprinkled expensive seasonings. As the fire pit on the ground was lit, the entire cow was instantly engulfed in flames. This was Gordon's ultimate move, fire-roasted Wagyu. The wealthy socialite elegantly walked toward Gordon, who used his knife to gently cut off a small piece of beef. After confirming it was the right size for the woman's mouth, he placed it in her mouth like feeding a dog, and her eyes lit up after eating it. Seeing her reaction, the surrounding political and business elites rushed forward like hungry dogs, surrounding the entire table, eagerly devouring the world's finest cuisine. Everything seemed to be going according to Gordon's plan. Emma calmly picked up her wok and took out the cheapest ingredients, preparing to cook the simplest Asian stir-fried noodles for the wealthy guests. In this dish, she incorporated her family's inherited techniques, so she named it heritage noodles. But after eating it, these elites didn't get particularly high praise, only saying it was not bad out of respect for Emma's reputation. At that moment, Gordon picked up a kettle and poured instant noodle soup into each plate, and this simple soup had all the elites completely mesmerized. Gordon seemed to be telling Emma a truth. These well-dressed elites had no idea what real food was. All they cared about was money and status.
บทเรียนสุดท้ายที่ผมจะมอบให้กับคุณไม่ว่าคุณจะทำอาหารอร่อยแค่ไหนสวยยังไงสร้างสรรค์แค่ไหนคุณก็ไม่สามารถเอาชนะอุปทานได้คนกินมันรู้จักกูแล้วมันก็ให้กูชนะตั้งแต่แรกอยู่แล้วเพราะพวกมันหิวกูมึงเข้าใจยัง
Just when Gordon thought everything was under his control, 3 police officers suddenly appeared at the venue, immediately moving to arrest Gordon on charges of illegally using wild game meat, while all the elite's phones simultaneously received videos of Gordon cooking illegal game. Gordon turned around and realized his assistant had conspired with the food critic to set him up. Although Emma had become the wealthy people's new culinary obsession, she knew she was just another pawn for these capitalists, and that one day they would treat her the same way they treated Gordon. Emma returned to her low-income neighborhood and watched the poor people sitting on the street with happy faces. Only then did Emma realize that rich people live to eat, while poor people eat to live. This made her feel disillusioned with the title of world-renowned chef. Finally, the girl returned to her small food truck and vowed to create a menu that was truly her own.